Well, okay then. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Asmogan and today we're going to be talking about the Wokehammer crowd trying to hit up the miniatures again and trying to push activism through them. Because they got sick and tired of pushing the female space marine and lore arguments because they were getting slapped across the cheeks so many times. I think eventually they started to be like, yeah, maybe this isn't working. We don't seem to be making any progress and my cheeks are all inflated from all the times I've just been slapped. Why aren't you sitting down? Well, the other cheeks have been slapped enough too. like they were getting their asses handed so hard on that now they've kind of like circled around. And not that they haven't been pushing the Wokehammer crap in the miniatures, they have been. But it feels like recently it's been like more of an uptick of more posts like this. Individuals like this, like... And by the way, don't anyone at me with this bullshit of like, oh, they're just sharing miniatures. Why are you guys harassing and bullying them? No, they're not. No, they're not. No. You can't make that claim. You can't say, oh, they're just sharing miniatures. What is written right here? What is written right here? Now, if it was a single image post, and it was just like, hey, I finished this cool miniature I'm proud of. What do you guys think? Then you'd have an argument there. It's like, okay, at that point, if people go at them for like the painting scheme and everything, that is bad and that's bullying. And obviously, those kind of shitheads can fuck off. As much as it, in my opinion, if it was still painted like this with like something like that written, still very clearly politically charged and activist-like, but at the very least there'd be that out of, well, they didn't say anything of that nature, so there'd be a little bit of like room of benefit of the doubt, in my opinion. But look at this, trans rights, protect trans kids. Except, Skaven was your pick. Now listen, I'm not a huge Warhammer Fantasy fan. I'm not. Like, this is not my forte. I'm a 40k guy pretty much through and through. Fantasy, in only small elements, has caught my interest. But because Warhammer Fantasy Battles doesn't exist anymore, Warhammer Old World is not what we thought it was, and it's completely failed to be what we had hoped. And with the only thing left is Age of Sigmar, I really have just no interest in the Warhammer Fantasy sphere. The one area I could say there might be some lingering interest is the Skaven. The Skaven existed in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and they exist in Age of Sigmar. Fucking weirdly enough, they don't exist in Old World, but oh well. But the Skaven are like the one thing like I actually know anything about for Warhammer Fantasy, and using them as your trans icons. Interesting choice, I'd say. The creatures that eat children and massacre entire cities and infest them like a disease and spread plague and biological mutagens and shit. And you're like, yeah, I feel that, yo. Like, that's me, trans, in a fantasy creature. The Skaven. I mean, thank you for being honest, I guess. Holy crap. Like, the levels of irony here and the level of poetics here shouldn't be lost on anybody, okay? Like your brain should be, like, doing a tism right now. It's just like, and you thought this was a good look. Uh-huh. Like, it makes you rub the temples. Like, obviously, these people aren't the smartest, right? Like, and they clearly aren't real fans because they don't know anything about the lore. They know a couple of advertisement photos and, like, some interesting miniatures that they've seen. But they don't clearly know the lore. And even if they do slightly, clearly they're willing to ignore it because of exposure with their trans activism bullshit. Actually, honestly, I'm trying to understand the mindset here. It's like, I'm going to paint a miniature as, like, a trans rights figure and push activism with this character. What character, what creatures do you use? Do you use one of those celestial dudes? Fucking Stormcast, I think is what they're called. The Sigmarines. Like, do you use them? Do you use the dwarves? Do you use the elves, for fuck's sake? No, you use the pestilence-spreading, disease-ridden, cannibalistic, psychotic rats. And don't get me wrong, I love all those things about the Skaven, but not because it represents me in any way. Like, I don't know. I'm looking around here like, interesting choice. What was this, like a 4D chess move where you're really on our side and you're just kind of trying to send like you're doing that blinking thing, being like a hostage situation? I'm being treated totally fine. Morse code from the eyelids. Translation: this shit whack, yo. like these guys are a pestilence and a disease. They're like rats spreading a plague and cannibalistically eating each other. It's like, well, yeah. Anyone who's been paying attention to Wokehammer over the last, well, since they've really since their inception, has seen that firsthand. I mean, fucking A. They speak to always like, oh, we wish to defend women, and there need to be more women in the hobby, and that's why we're pushing female space marines. Okay, well, this woman over here disagrees with you. Well, she's nothing but a filthy birther. Yes, they have said that, by the way. If anyone's interested, on previous commentary videos, I've showcased it. Like, these fucking psychos call women birthers when they don't agree with the narrative that they're pushing. Woman dared to disagree. Now is boiled down to her biological functions and demeans as only that. A la Wokehammer. So yeah, this got posted around, and as I actually saw this one in my timeline, by the way, and I didn't end up quote tweeting it or anything, because I was like, I've seen a couple of these over the last like couple months, and I'm like, nah, it's just losing its luster. So I moved past it. But unsurprisingly, and in a positive fashion, quite a few other people picked it up and quote tweeted it and screenshotted it. And by the way, speaking of screenshot it, they had to, because shock of all shocks, @SHeroQueer privated their account, or sorry, protected their account, because there's a difference. Like, standard tactic used by people who start shit and then can't take the shit when it comes their way. So yeah, So, people like Arch, for example, as well as Lord Metal Man. I know he responded to this as well. Yes, but people like Arch picked it up and said, so, the Skaven literally eat their children. Methinks this particular Skaven has just found a great way to get free food from naive retards. I have to agree. Again, they chose the Skaven. The Skaven of all factions. Now, don't get me wrong, it's Warhammer, and I'm presuming Warhammer Fantasy is similar in 40k in the vein that almost every faction has to have like a really dark side to it. Like it's grimdark. At least 40k is. I don't know if Warhammer Fantasy / Age of Sigmar is meant to be as dark, to be fair. But presumably there's still a level of that there. And definitely it's with the Skaven. But you couldn't have picked a faction a little more morally gray? Like, you had to go with the cannibalistic, pestilence-spreading, disease-ridden, mass-murdering fucking rats. Yeah, people like The Unbidden also pointed this one out. Hilariously, that artist quit after people just pointed out the Skaven are not what you want to have representing your minority, especially considering how they treat their women. And yeah, oh boy. A rat mother is sometimes called a breeder. I mean, that's fitting for the woke they like to call women breeders. They like to belittle, and if anything, this is par for the course. I have no doubt in my mind that the original poster of this artwork and of this miniature knew this. I mean, they had to, like, if they were in the Wokehammer space, they like to call women breeders all the time. Like, that's their favorite terminology for women that don't agree with them. If you have a vagina and you think, there shouldn't be female space marines, well, guess what? People on the Wokehammer side only think of you as a breeder. You are now lesser than them because you do not subscribe to their exact worldview and their exact political activism. Don't believe me? Again, check out my previous commentary videos. I've showcased many times where these psychos have called women and belittled women down to being just breeders because they didn't agree. Agree with them, oh, you're a queen, yes, slay. Look at this amazing woman. Truly an amazing woman. But if you disagree, you're a breeder or a birther. That's it. So a rat mother, sometimes called a breeder or brood mother, is the only known type of Skaven female, a creature birthed only to serve her species as a bloated baby-making factory. Each rat mother weighs at least 700 pounds and measures 10 feet long from snout to tail. Totally amazing pick you had for trans rights and trans activism. I mean, the memes write themselves. So, of course, other people try and, like, run defense for this stupid idiot who is pushing trans activism using Skaven, of all things. And one of them being Norn Queen Kia, who is a grifter, by the way. If you know anything about Norn Queen Kia, she's a shit stirrer in her own right. I don't think she actually cares about the politics or anything. I'm not saying she's a troll. There's a bit of a difference between a grifter and a troll. A troll will normally just try and stitch her for the entertainment of, people being mad and crazy. And don't get me wrong, she does get off on that, but it's from the specific angle of she still wants to push politics because she thinks it gets her clout and support and following. So she's a grifter as opposed to a troll. But a grifter that enjoys shit stirring, to be fair. So she responds to Arch's post that I just showed you guys, and then this loser cries victim when he's been about the only person on record to actually be gatekept for Warhammer. Except, no, he hasn't. In no way has Arch been gatekept. People, like, these psychos constantly try and harp on this point as if it actually is valid. It's like, oh, he's actually been gatekept because GW told him he's not allowed to have Warhammer in his username. But anyway, they constantly harp on this point like they have something there. Except he still plays Warhammer. He still makes videos on Warhammer. They didn't ban him from all events and all things. Like, he might be banned from Warhammer World. I don't know. I don't know about that one. But as far as I know, Arch is the only thing they did to Arch in any kind of gatekeeping fashion was ask him to remove Warhammer from his YouTube name. It's not the same as being gatekept, but nice try. Which is ironic considering all the failed gatekeeping campaigns he's ran. I wouldn't say they've failed. Quite a few times. I think we've avoided GW coming out with female Space Marines because they've received enough backlash that they didn't feel comfortable doing it. Like, there's a couple key points I felt like they were gearing up for it, but after community backlash, partially led by Arch, partially led by others, they realized not a good idea, and they kind of reeled back. I think during the time where Erda was unveiled, during the Saturn 9 book, I think they were gearing up for it. Like, it really felt like they were kind of like winding up, but it hasn't happened as of this point. And it's been quite a few, I won't say quite a few, but it's been a few years since Saturn 9 came out, and quite a few opportunities, including the release of 11th edition, 10th edition, with the release of 10th edition, they haven't unveiled them as of yet. And I think that's because of backlash led by Arch and other people. Otherwise, they would just listen to the screeching, ringing, whining bitches that you are and would have added them by now. So, yeah, to say that is failed gatekeeping campaigns, I'd say I greatly disagree. If it had failed, then we would already see your demands coming to fruition, which we don't really see any of that happening. These are the ones who don't belong in Warhammer, not some kid painting a bright flag. Really? Not some kid just painting a bright flag. What's this say? Trans rights protect trans kids. And look how overtly themed this miniature is. Just painting a miniature. If that's the case, why highlight it so much? Why have it be such a focus? Why share it on Twitter and then quote tweet yourself? Why try and push it that hard? I don't feel like you're just sharing miniatures with your friends. No, this is a shit stir. This is someone who's trying to push activism and trying to push politics into the space unnecessarily. And thus, they got due backlash. Now, am I saying like everything that was said to this person was fair? No, I have no doubt there's some assholes that went a little far with it. And maybe even, well, I doubt it, to be honest. Like, the whole death threat thing really doesn't happen as rarely. And every time, it's brought up, like, oh, I received death threats from these chuds. It's like, okay, show screenshots. Well, I don't have to show you. It's because you didn't receive any. So, to be quite frank, the worst this person probably got was being made fun of. And being belittled a little bit. Which, if you're going to push politics, and you're going to try and shit stir, you deserve it. Like, don't do that stuff if you can't take the heat, don't get out of the kitchen. Don't start shit. Don't start shit. Now, again, it'd be a fine line, and you'd be fair, Norn Queen Kia, to make that statement if this individual had posted this image, but had only said something as benign as, hey, look, just finished a fun miniature. What do you guys think? Still pretty fucking clear what they're going for, but there'd be that plausible deniability at play. But it's very clear right here, trans rights, protect trans kids, that it's about the politics. It's about the activism, not just about a cool miniature. So nice try. Not really. So, of course, after saying this shit, Arch, like Chad, responded and said, "Cries victim. Only person to ever be targeted by GW." Actually, that's a fair point. I didn't hit on that. Only person to be hit by GW. Yeah, I've lost count of the number of people that have been hit by GW. If we get into the 3D printing market, you want to talk about people who've been sent a lot of ceases and desists from Warhammer. Quite a few. GW has been very active in trying to block people in their community from doing something like 3D printing and creating STLs and rescans and stuff. Now, to be fair, that is copyright infringement. Rescans are, anyway. But everything else, GW are known to be litigious bastards, and that's not just because of Arch. There's so many people that they've targeted over the years. Hell, I'm surprised I haven't received a cease and desist with how vocal I am against the forces that be. But anyway, Arch says, "I always appreciate it when the opposition proves my point. Yes, the progressives did indeed start this war of excluding fans from Warhammer. Yes. But I hope that one day it will open to all fans again, as it once was." Thank you. And yes, he's right. Look what she said. These are the ones who don't belong in Warhammer. Which, by the way, it's funny. They constantly harp on us for gatekeeping, but then they also, in the very same breath, constantly say shit like, "Hey, let's block these people out. Hey, let's ban these people. Hey, GW, block these people from these stores." They're the ones who also whistleblow to each other about dumb shit like that, like Norn Queen Alexis did to the NDA whistleblower from GW a while back. Norn Queen Alexis fucking quit Twitter for a time, and I haven't seen her in a while, so maybe she quit all the way since then. But after she literally added the GW account on Twitter to expose the person who was exposing the NDA, she got due backlash and then bailed out for being a shitty, horrible person. Again, the gatekeeping actions didn't start on our front. We wanted as many people to play Warhammer as possible. But horrible people like you, Norn Queen Kia, like Norn Queen Alexis, and like a series of other people have showed us that we do need to guard the gates a bit and filter in and out good people versus shitty people. And no, those judgments aren't based on immutable characteristics. It's based on your actions. It's based on your behaviors. That's what it's based on. Not based on anything like, oh, if you're trans, you're not allowed in. If you're black, you're not allowed in. If you're Asian, you're not allowed in. Nothing like that. What we block people for and gatekeep people out for is, at the end of the day, their behaviors. What they choose to do, their actions. These are why we gatekeep. You come in and try and, for lack of a better word, violate the hobby space and the community with political pandering, with soapboxing, and just constantly telling people they have to think and constantly have on the mind real-world political issues, when 99.9% of us came to this hobby space with every intention of not thinking about the real world in any capacity during our entire time engaging with said hobby. When I'm painting a miniature, I'm thinking Warhammer. I'm thinking of the lore. I'm thinking of cool miniatures I'd like to work on after this one. I'm thinking about fun debates it'd be good to have with my friends about Rogel Doran versus Perturabo, Horus versus Sanguinius. All of these conversations I think of. You know what I don't think about? Trans rights. You know what I don't think about? Black Lives Matter. You know what I don't think about? I don't think about politics in any fashion. I don't think about any of this crap because it has nothing to do with my hobby time. And if you have the same mindset, you are welcome. If you do not have the same mindset and you come here and you use the hobby as a soapbox to push political messaging because you damn well don't give a damn about said hobby anywhere near as much as you clearly obsessively care about your politics, then you're not fucking welcome. This is not a political soapbox. This is not a fucking space for political arguments and activism. Take it elsewhere. Anyway, that's it for me. I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk about this situation. It is a very minor, kind of dumb situation, but it's funny, and I thought I'd cover it. So anyway, that's it for me, folks. Gatekeep, and gatekeep always. Protect our hobby. Stand strong.
And I'll see you on the front lines, brothers.
Bye.